it's not a question, but I just wanted to share that I saw a squirrel behind you jumping.
Yes.
Has it snowed, or is it just the impression?
No, it has not snowed.
Oh,
It's
it
just,
looks like from here.
yeah, it's just the quality of the camera. You know, it's just using the webcam, so it's not the high definition camera. But it's actually it's a lot of leaves and some grass that hasn't fully grown yet.
Maybe I have a question.
The squirrel question.
Well, my mind was like a squirrel, but a naughty one. I've gone through a really hard time last month, and I wondered why this has to be like this sometimes, or why it is like this, that I lose, or I seem to lose awareness that I'm consciousness, and then it's just words, you know. It's just words are telling me, oh, I'm consciousness, I'm awareness, but it doesn't come into my reality. And I'm kind of caught up in psychological stuff. And to make sense of it, then I tell myself, oh, it's necessary, you know, necessary to grow or to look at some things in my life, maybe. But actually, I really wonder: is it necessary, or is it just happening? And I don't know.
You know, necessary for whom? I mean, it's necessary for the body to have a certain nutrition in order for the body to function. And you could say it's necessary to have some shelter for the body to survive, certain food, shelter, and clothing. But that's just functional. That's at the body-mind level. Suffering, you could say, it is necessary to understand the process of suffering for the suffering to be alleviated, to alleviate oneself from the suffering. It is necessary to know that the snake is actually a rope in order for your fear from the snake, which is actually a rope, to cease. So the question is necessary for whom? Is suffering necessary for whom? What is it that suffers? What is suffering? What is it to have a hard time? Because when you're not placing any conditions, upon your life, upon your body, upon your relationships, upon your health, upon your wealth, upon the weather, upon your neighbors, upon your family members, upon your partners, when you're not placing conditions, what is the problem?
No problem.
Yes. So what we need to do is not wonder, is suffering necessary? But what is suffering? What is the process of suffering? What is the process of having a hard time over the last month, over the last year in one's life? So in the non-dual teaching, we're often reminded that the difficulties we encounter in our life are due to a mistaken identity. We mistake ourselves to be something. And when we mistake ourselves to be something, someone, somebody, there are all sorts of concerns that are inevitable. Because we're identifying with a form, and all forms are subject to conditions. And so because we have identified ourselves with the form, then we are experiencing that we are subject to certain conditions. And so we experience feeling good when the conditions are okay, and feeling bad or less good or not good when the conditions alter and are less favorable. Those conditions are favorable or unfavorable depending on how we have defined good and bad. And so there is that entire realm of relativity, the relative realm of being happy when the situations are in accordance with our conditions and our expectations, and unhappy when the conditions do not meet our conditions. But if you can come to the understanding that what you truly are is beyond all forms, beyond what you perceive, beyond what you experience, that you are not something that is subject to any conditions. That is, in fact, the reality of what you are. You already are the bliss of the self. You already are that. But somehow we have inherited a belief structure, and we are in the process of seeing through it, seeing through the mirage. And there's also the whole feeling process. Not only we have a belief, but we also feel like when you're in the desert and you see a mirage of an oasis. Not only you see an oasis, you're perceiving an oasis, which is in fact not there, but you're also feeling very excited, and you're feeling it's not just a perception, it's also at the body level. But every sensation, every feeling is something, is a form that you perceive. No matter its shape, its size, its density, no matter its intensity, it is a form that you perceive. And you are not any form that you perceive. You are the reality that is not a form, that perceives any form without being affected by it. Like a screen, project any images arise on the screen. It could be a very serene lake, or it could be images of volcanic eruption. The screen is untouched, unaffected. Like in your night dreams, you may dream of a beautiful doves, going, or you may dream of alligators. Nothing is happening to you because you are the reality that is not a form, it's not a thing. So the question is not about whether suffering is necessary or not necessary. Who cares? What matters is not that we understand if it's necessary or necessary, but to be free of it. Because that's really what we care about, is to really be free of the nonsense, to be free of the illusion, to be free of the unnecessary stories and histories. And so we have to be really watchful about the stories and the memory process, the storage process. We have a tendency to live a story, a me story in memory, in thought. And we mistake ourselves to be these memories that we accumulate and we're repeating and we're carrying along with us. that's a drag. It's not the freshness of being, because the freshness of being is it's not cumulative. It arises in its crystalline totality and its complete transparency. It does not appear in a story, it does not appear in time. So you have to be watchful of me in time. Whenever there is a me story, it's a me in time, meaning thought, memory meaning thought. And maybe at some level we like stories, so we just get right into it. We buy into it. But there are stories that are really miserable and unhappy, like nightmares. Those we don't care about. So the story of me being a mortal body-mind, that I'm born and this is happening to me, and oh my God, the last month. It's a story. Because where is last month right now, you say? You don't need this memory. What for? Who cares? Really, I mean, who cares about last month? I mean, you're not running for politics. You're not, I mean, you're not the public. I mean, if you're a public figure, of course you have to be. But in certain circumstances, you need to worry about it. But otherwise, if you're not running for office, or if you're not, your image is not important for your business, for your livelihood, who cares? But we worry so much about what people think about me.
The sound is a little bit like a crackling or something.
Oh.
I didn't know if where your mic is.
Okay.
Just
okay. Let me see. I don't know. Well, Tara says there may be a crackling sound. Is the sound okay out there?
It's okay. Just slight crackling, not disturbing. I didn't even notice it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's So saying that we also have a concern about how do people perceive us? How do they like me? But in fact, in our experience, we never experience somebody else but the self. We never experience another. Like right now, for example, we are here, I'm sitting in this chair, you're sitting in that chair. But in our experience, in my experience right now, I'm experiencing my perception. I mean, I can call it Renate, I can call it anything. I choose not to call it anything, actually. I just don't name it. But I'm experiencing my experience. I'm perceiving my perception. And my perception is intimate. So in a way, I'm conversing with myself. It's always the self conversing with itself, being with itself, celebrating itself. So this idea that there is another external to the self. It has no validity. Because in your experience, you never experience anything but your own thoughts, your own perceptions, your own sensations. Your own perception, maybe you're perceiving right now a screen with an image with Magdi here, or you call it Magdi. You don't need to call it anything. You're perceiving your perception. The contemplation of the reality of our experience, the correct contemplation, will bring you slowly to realize that you are the self, and everything you experience is the self. You're never experiencing anything else but yourself. I, the self, the universal self. So why be concerned about images of others when the other is your very self? Don't worry about those things. These are old, defective programs. They're corrupt. Don't live anything that's in the past. Just remain as the freshness of being. You see, happiness is our true nature. We don't need to be happy. We are happiness already. We just need to stop feeding the unhappiness. Stop feeding the lie. So we need to investigate. Am I somebody? Am I some form? Or am I that perceives all forms? You see? To sort of cure ourselves from this belief that I'm a form, that I'm something in time and space, that I'm some kind of object that starts and ends. So if you look directly right now, you notice that there is awareness. Pure and simple. Effortless. And that this awareness has no name, no size, no shape. It doesn't start anywhere. This awareness that has no age. And this awareness is what I refer to as I. Not I as something that I perceive, but I as pure awareness. That it is not contained in any container. Because if you look at your experience right now, where is there any container? The thought that arises in awareness. The bodily sensation that arises in awareness. But when you contemplate awareness, you don't find any edges to it. You don't find any borders. You see that? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I can see it. I know now.
Yes.
Past doesn't matter.
Yes, the past is just a current thought.
Mm.
For example, if you think now of yesterday morning or last night, it's a current thought. Thought is just a thought. It's like a cloud. It's in a way it's innocent. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
What matters is you don't mistake yourself to be somebody. Oh my God, what happened to me? What happened to me yesterday? Oh my God, what are they thinking about me? Me as an object, me as a form, me as a woman, me as a whatever, me as a mother, me as a sister, me as a daughter, whatever it is, as a form. The regret. It's about taking myself to be a form. Depression. It's about mistaking myself to be a form, to be bodily sensation, to be a feeling. While all along you are as pure awareness. You see, that's always available to you. Whenever you turn your attention to awareness, it's right there. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Pure I am. Pure I am. And this I am has no form. It has no density. It's not I am feeling good, feeling bad. That's a story. That's a thought. I am is just pure I am. Now you could say I am perceiving a contraction in my belly. So what? The I am that perceives the contraction in the belly is the same I am that perceives a sunrise or a sunset. But then there is I am perceiving contraction in my body, and I should not feel a contraction in my body. Now you've switched from the I am to I am this body that should not feel any contractions. Pure I am has no conditions. Has no conditions. Of course, I am is also intelligence, is wisdom. I am perceives a contraction in the body. It looks at it and says, oh, there's hunger, for example. Let's cook something. Or let's have some salad. Let's have an apple. Yes? Or it can perceive a contraction in the body and can perceive, oh, I am mistaking myself to be somebody that my neighbor doesn't like. So there is a contraction because I have reverted to being a body, and another body, who's my neighbor, doesn't like me. So there's wisdom. I understand that. And I say, here comes the nonsense, you see? So I say, okay, I realize I see the nonsense. I see it as nonsense. Okay, it's nonsense. I recognize it to be nonsense. So I am not going to continue with the nonsense. Oh, poor me, why doesn't my neighbor like me? Oh my God, I should do something. Oh, he's a bad neighbor anyway, blah, 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 blah.
Seems to be an addiction to nonsense here. It's the last addiction.
Yeah, maybe the last addiction. The last addiction is the addiction, which is the original addiction, to I am a body-mind. I am a body-mind. No, body-mind impressions arise to me. Not a problem. What I truly am is peace. What I truly am is the bliss of the self. That is available to you as you turn your attention to it. But when you remain without contemplating the belief that I am a body-mind, then that belief continues to trouble you. So you have a bad month, and next month is bad, and the month after that, a little bit better, and the month after that, Jesus went really downhill, blah, blah, blah. So it's all like you are in your dream, you are running away from the lion that's chasing you. don't realize that in fact you are not in any danger. You're not this girl running away from the lion that's chasing you. There is no lion. When you believe yourself to be a body-mind, then there are all sorts of lions. You can't kill all the lions because you have to cure yourself from the belief that you're a body-mind. Otherwise, you're constantly worrying about the next lion and the next, what's going to happen next. You have to come to the freedom, the innate freedom that you are. It's right there. You are the freedom of the self. The transparency of being, you see?
Yeah.
It's innate. It's not something that anybody can take away from you or anybody can give you. See, I'm not giving you anything or taking away anything from you. You just can see.
Reminding me.
Yes, you see it for yourself when you come to say, I see. It's the friend talking, saying, oh, I see.
Lovely.
Okay.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. Hello, Ananda. Ananda, it's just before I go into your question, I want to answer a question that was sent to me, just so we don't run out of time sometimes. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the question, which I'm translating from French, is: can you talk about the silence that goes beyond thought? Can you talk about the silence that goes beyond thought? In fact, I am always talking about the silence that goes beyond thought. I am the silence that is beyond thought. But when I say I am the silence that is beyond thought, I am not referring to I, Magdi. I'm referring to the universal I. Everything that we experience it beyond thought. We experience all thoughts, all impressions, from, let's say, from the silence that is beyond thought. Now, having said that, this does not mean that we experience everything as the silence beyond thought. We don't experience that knowingly. We are not knowing that in fact that is our true experience. So the contemplation of the self is a contemplation, let's say, that brings us to becoming knowing that we are the silence that is beyond thought. That what I truly am is this silence, this spaciousness, this beingness, this stillness, this formlessness, when we have a peek into the self, or when we have an understanding, a moment of understanding, at those moments, which are not moments in time, the spaciousness of being is revealed. The mind does not register it, because the mind is absent. That the mind comes back, usually, and makes a story about the stillness, about the silence. You could say that the self is revealed as the silence beyond thought, once the mind does not return. The mind ceases to return and to make a story. So, to say a little bit more about silence, there is the silence of the body-mind, where we go on retreat and we don't speak for a week. That's physical silence. And then there is the silence that we experience when the mind is still. We probably, whoever is a meditator, and even not being a meditator, probably most of us know that experience of the silence of the mind. But that is not the silence that is beyond thought. It's still a state. The first state of the silence of the body-mind is a state of the body-mind. The second silence of the mind is a state of the body-mind, because the mind has not been slain. Is that the right word? Slain? Ananda? Is it S-L-A-I-N? Has not been eradicated, right? Slain.
I think slain is a good word.
Okay, has not been slain. Thank you. But the silence that is beyond thought is the knowing oneself as that silence. Knowing oneself as that universal beingness. The formless self. And once that knowing is established, meaning it does not come and go, then there is absolute clarity that everything that you experience is that silence, refers to that silence, does not add or remove anything. It is that very silence that is beyond thought, that appears as thoughts, perceptions, sensations, without ever appearing, without ever disappearing, without any addition or subtraction, without any alteration whatsoever. It's the end of disturbance, the end of angst. The end of separation. The end of the illusion of personhood. So, yes, that is, one could say, the destination, if you want to use that term, in the spiritual journey. The full revelation of the self as the I am, the stillness, the silence that is beyond thought, beyond the world, body, mind. I hope this answers to a certain extent this question. We can follow up if need be. Hello, Ananda, you write, some wonderful situations arise. They are noted as being expressions of the joy of the self. It's beautiful. Then they begin to be assumed as the cause of the joy. How about causeless joy? Come on. This switch from real, stable inner joy to a gratitude for the good stuff coming to me. Wait a minute. Now we're getting into a story. Good stuff coming. The good stuff that comes to you, you can lose. One day you have it, next day it's gone.
Yeah.
It's a habit of the mind attributing well-being to causes. Yes. Yes, it is a habit of it's the me. It's the body-mind identification. That somehow there is a wonderful situation. We perceive it as the joyful expression of the self, and then we project this happiness onto having a beautiful home, having a beautiful partner, having a lot of money, God only knows what, and then we're back into the misery. Yes. Yes. So, okay, you seem to be pretty clear about that. Is there any question?
Well, what you were just saying in your answer about silence was sort of related to it. It's like a clarity that's just clear is what I'm interested in. You know, instead of finding this kind of excitement about, oh my gosh, look, you know, like where is that you know, am I causing things to go great because I'm see, there's still someone in there. I'm causing things to go well because I'm accessing a deeper reality.
It depends what you mean by I, you know.
I'm not sure.
If I is the self, then yes, I as the self is the only reality. If you want to use the term causality, is the cause of everything. But given that there is one reality, then there is no causality. Because if you are in the ocean, all there is the ocean. Which drop of water is causing another drop of water? Which wave is causing another wave? It's one ocean. So it depends what you mean by I. Yes, I as the self. So the contemplation is what do I mean by the I? Am I referring to I a person? I a meditator, I a person who's had a lot of spiritual experiences, blah, blah, blah? Or am I referring to the I, awareness, presence, the universal self? So when you're referring to yourself as I, a body, mind, I, a person, then you are in thoughts and stories and, you know, am I this person causing this? Is it because I had this experience 20 years ago and then I did this and I did that? Is this why this is happening? Then you don't know. You're just going to go into all sorts of theories and hypotheses, and good luck with that. But not just good luck with that. Once you stop and you ask yourself, wait a minute, am I a body-mind? Because I'm referring to I as a body-mind, as a man, for example, as a person who is born. Am I born? You ask yourself, I mean, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the I that is born. Then you ask yourself, am I born? And you will find that you have no answer to this question. Outside of a story, oh yeah, I'm born because I have, you know, a mother and father, and here's the birth certificate, and I'm the body, so this body is born, and I'm the body, so therefore I'm born. Then you can ask yourself, well, am I a body? And we don't need to go back to 40, 50 years ago to find out if you're a body that was born. You can ask yourself right now, am I a body right now? You can ask yourself, am I a body right now? And you will come to the conclusion that no, I am not a body. I am that, the reality that perceives a body sensation, that perceives a body image, or that perceives a mental image of a body. But I am not something that is perceived. So that you stop right there and say, wait a minute, I'm assuming myself to be a body-mind person that caused this and caused that, but I'm building all my thinking upon the false premise that has no validity. So it doesn't make sense for you to continue in investigating, did I cause this, or what is causing this joy, what is causing this happiness, if you are founding your contemplation upon a false premise. You will stop. You say, wait a minute, no, there's a false premise here. I need to stop. And then you ask yourself, well, there is an I after all, because I am perceiving this perception. What is this I that is perceiving this perception? And you go directly to your present experience. In your present experience, what is it that is perceiving right now? What is it?
Okay, Nanda, you're back in business.
My apartment manager's fixing the plumbing.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, great. I'm glad it's fixed. Okay.
Yes.
So that's the question. And what is it that truly perceives right now? If you look at that question, you can perceive what perceives, but you cannot deny that I perceive. You cannot deny that there is perception and that it's I that perceives.
That's very interesting. It can't perceive what's perceiving.
No, you can't perceive.
It's just.
But you cannot deny.
Right.
There is a perception and there is a reality that perceives. So you can say, well, there is a reality to perception, but that is not perceived. And yet, it's undeniable. I know it. I know it's undeniable. How do I know that it's undeniable? How do I know it's undeniable that there is perception? I cannot deny it because there is an absolute certainty about it. And there's only absolute certainty when there's complete intimacy.
something like that is what I feel at the beginning of this question. When wonderful things arise, like, well, actually, and then I think, you know, it doesn't even matter what arises or doesn't arise. This is more wonderful than this is more wonderful than the could ever make it, something like that.
Yes, I think what you're saying is, if I'm correct in understanding what you're saying, is that what is marvelous is consciousness itself, and not what consciousness is necessarily conscious of. And yes, consciousness is the wonder of all wonders. It's the this is the bliss of the self, not what you perceive. But what's really beautiful about this inquiry is that once you become clear where the happiness lies, that the happiness does not lie in the world, body, mind, that it lies with consciousness, then the world, body, mind somehow magically becomes sweet. But we don't do the contemplation in order to have a better life. If you're doing contemplation because you want to have a better life, a better experience, a better body, good luck, because you still mistake yourself to be a body-mind. The investigation has to be for the love of truth, pure love for truth, not for any goodies.
And isn't it, it's such a profound thing, and I've noticed this even way back. I think anybody notices it at times. So good, you say, I could die right now, I would be fine. Or actually attached, the good, that good is so...
You know, what you are does not die. The self does not die.
Right. I mean,
so yes, the body-mind can die, but in fact, if you look at what is the body-mind, you will find perceptions, sensations, thoughts, and in a way, every second they're dying and new ones are arising. So you are dying as body-mind impressions are dying, but what you truly are is unborn and undying. So that fear of death is a gate that you have to go through at some point in your inquiry. You come to a certain understanding that what you truly are is immortal, is eternal. And that understanding deepens, and there is a process of releasing all these contractions that maintain this fear of death in the body, and they release. Because fear of death is just a mentation and contraction. It's mentation, thought, and it's a contraction in the body that we don't even notice, but it's there. It's there. It expresses itself in all forms of resistances. They're very subtle. Some, of course, are very obvious resistances. Others are quite subtle. And your releasing process of these contractions at the body level is in a way it's endless in a way. But there comes a point where virtually nothing remains.
It's like you go to an anger therapist, anger therapy, and there's no anger. Something like that. Anyway, Thank you. And I also get what you're pointing to, that it sounds like part of what you're saying is don't make trouble for yourself. But I see, you know what they say, a burnt rope can't bind, but I still see the ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say, it's not complete, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. It takes a little reflective thought to say, so I still have the inquiry that says, oh, it's just ashes. It's not even
Mm-hmm.
it can't bind. It's,
Mm-hmm. It's a path of happiness. It's a path. It's a path of joy and happiness. So whenever you're experiencing ashes, you're experiencing some unhappiness, and when you're experiencing unhappiness, at that moment you've adopted the old belief that a personal impression.
Right. Even the ashes of the rope that bound is a coming back into it.
Yes.
Conceptually.
Yes. So be sensitive. Sensitize yourself to the unhappiness and don't maintain it. Whenever the unhappiness arises, you have to sense it, and at that moment, you can notice that you've personified yourself in the world. You created yourself as some entity in time and space, and at that moment, you have a choice of maintaining that falsehood or dropping it. So it's a repetitive dropping of the falsehood that arises as an unhappiness that reduces the frequency of that vasana arising, and it reduces its intensity.
I'm sorry, I'm a little foggy. I just worked all night.
Okay.
And what was the last thing you said? That it's the intensity of.
No, it's the noticing the unhappiness.
Yes.
And not maintaining it, not noticing that the unhappiness is a result of mistaking yourself to be a body mind. And
it almost feels like I could reach for it. I'm reaching for the unhappiness. It almost seems like
it will reach for you. Don't worry. Don't
okay.
reach for it. Don't reach for it. It's gonna find you.
When it's reaching for me, I notice I'm reaching for it.
Okay. Yes. So when you notice the unhappiness, then you have a choice at that moment of maintaining the story, the me story, or dropping it. And it is this repetitive process of dropping this me story, meaning dropping the unhappiness, meaning not maintaining the unhappiness, that will reduce the frequency and the intensity of that vasana arising.
Right. Okay. That's clear.
Okay.
That's very clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Ananda. Good to see you, Ananda. Beautiful. So if there's any question. Okay, Hinz. Okay, well, thank you very much for your lovely company, and we'll see you again most likely Thursday. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, Renate.